Welcome back to the Agency Action Podcast. I'm your host today, Matt. You heard me a couple episodes ago. I'm back filling in for Kurt and Toby, who have the day off today. And I'm going to share my top 3 moments from the Agency Action Podcast that Kurt and Toby have been hosting now since last year. These are my 3 great moments that I went back through the last few episodes and said, you know what, this is important stuff. And we're going to go through some of this great advice that Kurt and Toby shared throughout the series today. If you have a favorite episode, you have a favorite segment, a favorite lesson from the guys hosting Agency Action, let me know. You can email me, Matt at the WP Minute, or even better, join the free Slack channel at the WP Minute. Go to thewpminute.com, click on the membership button, and you simply join one of the free courses that we have up there. And once you get into your dashboard on the course, on the website, you can click to join the Slack channel, and that'll give you free access to our Slack membership, where there's a bunch of folks who are agency owners, freelancers, WordPress people, people who are decision makers and community builders in WordPress, all hanging out in our Slack channel, trying to make it a little bit different than the other Slack channels. I know that you all have a lot of choices out there, but we're trying to make it a little bit different. So that's the call to action. If you want to join the conversation behind the scenes and get involved a little bit more and meet the guys from the Agency Action Show, join the WP Minute Slack channel completely for free. Okay, I want to get into the first top moment for me, and this is when I heard Toby talking about how he doesn't do any e-commerce or very light e-commerce. And I think this is an important lesson for many of us, especially in the early days when we need that revenue. Heck, you need the revenue now. I totally get it. And you're saying yes to a lot of projects that come across the table. He has a very focused view on dealing with these e-commerce projects.
Here's another one. E-commerce is something that the Mighty Mo does, but we don't push it because we understand from experience, how complex it is and how difficult it can be. We ran Lumi deodorants e-commerce for years, and we ran into pretty much every problem you can run into, from WordPress to fulfillment to buying enough ingredients to create the product. And so, but that experience and others kind of led us to be like, e-commerce is its own beast. Like, even outside of WordPress, like, it's just a thing. And have you heard of any companies that have kind of surprised you by saying, like, we don't do e-commerce?
It doesn't cease to amaze me, actually, Toby. There's, especially if you get active on X or you're in post status and you're tracking all the, just do a search for WordPress and follow a bunch of people, right? And some names are going to rise to the top. People that have spoken at WordCamps, people that, run larger agencies, people that, and then you start to have conversations with them or chat with them, or you watch their feedback in the feed, right? And they'll be like, oh yeah, we don't do e-commerce. We focus primarily on 5-page brochure marketing websites. And I'm thinking to myself, your agency dwarfs my agency. Like, I'm just a little tiny speck in your giant world, and you're telling me that you made a giant world out of 5-page marketing brochure websites? Now this is going to make me sound like a jerk. It's the way it came out. The order of my conversation is out of place. If I'm focusing on Lifter LMS websites and e-learning websites and membership, intuitively we're dealing with e-commerce because we're selling memberships and courses. And so I'm dealing with this on a regular, ongoing concept. Like, it's always in my sphere. And then I see these names that I have a huge amount of respect for, and they're like, we don't do any e-commerce. And then it strikes me like, we're back to pricing now, right? I'm probably grossly undervaluing what we're building for membership and learning websites and building those complexities even though the tools I've gotten used to and have become an expert with them, that's my 20 years of expertise, and I'm giving it away at 5-page marketing site value, right?
Yeah.
It's just a different way to look at things. And it does surprise me, but then my version of e-commerce is completely different than what you just described. I'm not selling coffee mugs, tapestries, and handbags, right? And I'm not getting order fulfillment from Pakistan. We're selling digital product. It's almost like having easy digital downloads on a website.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a different version of e-commerce.
Right. Yeah. And you mentioned something that's interesting, and it's like maybe you're underpricing the service, and maybe you are. And the question is, how do you know if you are?
Keep pushing until people say no.
Yeah, right. Like, so, and this gets into what we originally talked about here is like, if you have a price on your website, you're kind of locked into a price and you're anchoring, even if it's a low price, you're now anchoring yourself as like a low cost provider, maybe not always, but you potentially run that risk. And a lot of that's the art of the sale. I've seen prices go from $100 to 20,000 pretty quick and with people signing the contract. But like the only way to really know, I think, is to pitch that higher price. And I always recommend like pitch a way higher price if you're not sure. And
I took a stab at one a couple of years ago, and this came from, and I won't tell the whole story, but I once ended up on a call with Petronas Oil Company to ask for a little bit of money, and someone else on the call asked for what I thought was a giant amount of money. And in that experience, I learned it doesn't matter what the dollar is, spit it out. And if they're in a position to say yes, they'll say yes. And so a couple of years ago, I was talking to a very large retailer in the marine industry, and they wanted me to do some big project. And it wasn't a small project. It was a big project. I said, well, let me draft you up a proposal for that, and we did a needs assessment call, and I took some notes, and I said, okay, it's about $230,000. And so I sent it off. And there's people listening to this podcast right now that are probably going, he did what? No, but it was 230 grand. It is what it is. That's the number. And we entertained it for like 6 months. Like it went back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And in the end, they went in another direction. But surprisingly, Toby, I don't think it was the price that caused them to go the other direction. They went with a different technology.
yeah.
And so that just reassured me that that market exists.
Yep.
And we have to keep pushing.
Next up is a very important lesson that Kurt shares here, and that's about the sales process. And we're not just selling the plugins and the WordPress stuff and the open source goodness. I know in the beginning, this is something that we're really excited about, and we might even give that to the customer. Even if you're a seasoned veteran of building WordPress websites or any websites, any kind of technology, it's very easy to get caught up in like the cool technology thing. And you think that that cool feature is the thing that people want. Like, oh, look what we can do with Gravity Forms. Look what we can do with WordPress and headless CMS. There's all these things. And we sort of ramp that up, and we think that's adding value when it could be adding a little bit of confusion.
I think this is great perspective for potential agencies to consider. When I first launched my agency, for some reason, I thought it was important to disclose, which form tool I'm going to use, or we're building in WordPress at all. It was so weird. Like I thought it was incumbent upon me to share like how the bricks are made. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to build you a house, but these are how we make the bricks.
Yeah.
People buying a house don't care where the bricks come from.
Right.
Right. And people running a business in a lot of cases don't care where the site comes from. That's why these SaaS companies are making so much money, right? Because they're not even, let me vibe code you something, right? They're not even going into the details about it. It's like, you have a problem, I have a solution, I'm going to charge you $5,000. And so over the years, I have changed the way that I disclose how we do these projects. Cause I'll just say, well, hey, you know what? No problem. We've got a process on how we make your website. We've got these tools available. We're going to put in a CRM. We're going to put in an LMS. We're going to have a way for people to book appointments with you. Are there any other pain points in your business that need addressed beyond those features? And I start having a conversation about features rather than tools. And that's been the way that we've been selling now for 4 or 5 years, just because I found that when I start saying, oh, we're going to use Lifter LMS and it has these features and this and content restriction, it's too much.
Yeah, that's what
they don't care. Like, they're just running a business.
I feel like my friends, and I always have this debate, and they'll tell you, my friends locally who do WordPress consulting for a living, like, I can't tell you how many long, boring conversations they've tried to engage me in that have to do with what should I include in my maintenance plan and how much should I charge? And my answer is, I don't care. They don't care. You should charge as much as you can possibly get.
I I'm this is so weird that we're having this conversation. I am in the middle of battling myself on how to offer this local plan that we're doing, right? And it's because there are people in my location that are doing like these subscription website services, and and I'm like, well, what's included with your plan? What should I include with my plan? But then it comes down to, let's just be real. I'm the one running the WordPress meetup in town. I'm the one going to the chamber events. I'm the one going to the local startup events. I'm the face I shouldn't be competing with people that are doing these weird one-off subscription plans.
Yeah.
I am offering a real equitable product. And so we're kind of struggling with how much do we require from people up front for like a setup fee for a startup site plus hosting and maintenance versus like a monthly subscription example of that. Like, what would that look like? And so we've finally come up with a plan to launch that, but it's been a little painful because of what we're talking about today. What level of expertise, coaching, training, all of the other advisement that comes into making a web project, looking at everything that we deliver as an agency, there's a value to that. And we can't just give it away and devalue ourselves. And cream does rise to the top. We have to find the clients that have the ability to put cream in their coffee rather than drink their coffee black.
Okay, here's another challenging topic that comes up quite often on Agency Action. And I know it always in my life, especially as a former recovering agency owner of a decade. It's asking for the money, asking for the sale, asking for the pitch. Like, are you open for me to present to you my solutions? I think cracking the ice in asking to get paid, sharing the sale price. Can I cold call you, and can I just show you what I have to offer? These things are tremendous barriers to starting your business and growth and success. It's stuff that I'm still challenged with today at the WP Minute, as a lot of this business runs on sponsorship. So I'm constantly asking folks to see if they're willing to sponsor the podcast, or asking folks to join the membership. It's always hard to be like, hey, it's $79 to join, or you can just donate whatever. These are things that are quite challenging and can get people uncomfortable. But when you know you have the value, when you know you have something valuable and you're working hard to create that value, it sort of lessens that stress. Here's what Kurt and Toby have to say.
There's certain things that you just can't stand. Like, for instance, I'm not a spreadsheets fan at all, right? Someone starts talking to me about, oh, just use Excel, set up a VLOOKUP, do a whatever. And I'm like, oh my God, I got to look this crap up. I worked with people. I had no idea these people existed, but I ended up working with people that loved spreadsheets and were really good at it. And then they would say, like, I was the training manager at a big corporation, and I was like, oh, I gotta figure out how I'm going to track all these students for. They go, oh, we'll just drop it into a spreadsheet and I'll hook up this thing and that and a formula and whatever. And I was like, who's going to manage that? They're like, oh no, it'll just automatically, they'll just get added to this spreadsheet. As long as these two stay connected, everything will be fine. And I was like, okay, you're going to do that. And they did it. Right. I hate collecting money. That's plain and simple. I am great at selling jobs. I'm great at getting the jobs done, but I despise having to call a customer or a client and ask for money. And you and I both talk. There's a difference between customers and clients, right? But it's like, I hate asking for my money. I did the job, pay me. Why? I don't understand why I have to ask more than once. You have the invoice. And so the policy at Mañana No Mas is that on projects, everything's prepaid. Because I don't want to do the work and have to chase down money. I hate that. So our policy is everything's prepaid. And if you can't prepay, you're not my customer. Just go somewhere else. Just because I've had it up to here with that. But even on our recurring income, our month-to-month stuff, it's like people pay the month in advance, but we still have to send reminders. And so I don't do that. My system is set up to send reminders. I don't have to worry about it. It happens. And if they go more than 30 days past due, someone else on my team makes the calls. I don't do it. And then I pay them a commission to recoup late money. So I make less of a margin, but emotionally, I'm not dealing with it. And I think that is huge when you're a business owner, is like, just stay away from the stuff that you don't like to do and hire people to do the stuff that's there and pay them, right? But you don't have to pay them the same as you pay yourself, because we're back to where we were at the beginning of the call.
Yeah, I just recently, I just last month was the first time I had my bookkeeper follow up with past due invoices rather than me. And
now
yeah,
you can go
cost
Christmas shopping.
me a little money, but like, not only does it help in the collections, but it's less headaches or less heartaches. Like, I don't need to deal with the rejections. They're dealing with it now. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. And
I
it's
had a
really hard to deal with rejection on work you've already done and delivered.
mm-hmm.
Like, it's already done. It's delivered. You still owe me money. Why are we having this conversation?
Yeah, I had a customer, and so like something that you said that's really interesting to me is like, you're defining, this is something that takes the community to learn, like it takes the village, like this concept. You wouldn't know you have other collection options and other billing options and other like how to frame payments unless you talk to the community. You mentioned prepaying, but there's prepaying for hours. I used to do that. I used to sell 20 blocks of 20 hours for X amount of dollars, all prepaid. You can have an ongoing payment that's like, hey, we were going to block off 10 hours this month, whether you use it or not. I had a conversation on a lead. A sales conversation just this week, and we're currently hopefully going to close the deal. But it's a low enough amount where we wanted the full amount up front, and we told them that, and they're like, we're not really comfortable with that. So I got together with my sales guy, and we're just like, okay, what do we do? And we figured out a way to basically ask for a high percentage up front, and then have the remainder delivered to us on very specific things that we know we can deliver quickly. And so the idea is we're basically going to get paid within a month or two for the entire project, and it's on deliverables that we can mostly control. Yeah. And bottom line is we felt pretty good about that at the end, even though we kind of like broke our own policy or whatever. They felt good. We really want to close the deal. Hopefully they'll sign it and all that. And so all this is to say, like, you've got options. Like, if you're feeling stressed or pain points, like, it's hard to even know you're feeling the pain sometimes.
All right. Thanks for listening to today's recap of my favorite 3 moments in the Agency Action podcast over the last couple episodes or so. Let's get involved. Let's start talking to each other. I'd love for you to join the Slack channel for free. Go to thewpminute.com, click on the membership, or just click on the course button when you land on the site. You can take the course. It's completely free. It gives you access to the Slack channel. That's completely free. We'd love a donation. We'd love you to be a supporting member, but if not, that's totally fine. Join the Slack channel. Let's start having the conversation as agency owners. I would love to start building this monthly accountability program. Some of you have already received an email and have applied. I really appreciate that. If you want an accountability program as an agency owner, just to get in the room every couple of weeks, every other week or something like that, send me an email, matt@thewpminute.com, or join that free Slack channel. Let's just talk about it. I want to get this off the ground and running to get us all working towards our healthier agency business throughout 2026. AI is staring us down a very dangerous barrel right now, and we want to make sure that we're healthy and profitable agencies for the rest of this year and into the future, especially in the age of AI. The WPMinute.com Agency Action Podcast. Thanks for hanging out today. If you want to listen to some WordPress stuff, we talk about WordPress all the time on the WP Minute podcast. Search for the WP Minute, the WPMinute.com, in your favorite podcast player, and subscribe to that podcast as well. We'll see you in the next episode.